It started like any ordinary patrol, just 7 Coast Guards scanning the horizon on a routine inspection, 3 miles offshore. The water was calm, nothing on the radar. But then, someone spotted it. "Hey, there's something in the water," one of them said, pointing toward the horizon. At first it looked like a speck, just a trick of the light. But as their patrol boat drew closer, the crew realized this wasn't debris, it was a vessel. A metallic blue one, nearly blending in with the sea. Silent, motionless, ominous. The strangest part? The radar still showed nothing. Captain Hayes stared at the monitor. It showed only their own ship. No blips, no signals. Nothing to suggest a second vessel floating just 100 feet away. He frowned, stepping outside to get a better look. The blue hue of the vessel made it look almost invisible on the water, like it was designed to disappear. He raised the megaphone. "This is the Coast Guard. Identify yourself." No response. They tried again. Still nothing. Tension began to build. They decided to haul the boat in. The vessel didn't look large, maybe 20 feet long at most. Easily manageable with a full crew. But when they tossed over a hooked line and tried to pull, the impossible happened. The blue boat didn't move. Their boat did. The rope went taut, and their vessel inched forward as if being pulled by something far heavier than it looked. Captain Hayes paled. "What is this thing?" 2 men were assigned to board the vessel, Brendan and John, the youngest and most agile of the crew. Brendan was nervous, but with the rest of the team watching, he couldn't back down. With caution, the 2 climbed onto the deck of the mysterious vessel. The surface was cold, unnaturally cold, and the small porthole windows were pitch black inside. "Only one way to find out what's in there," Brendan muttered. They pried open the top hatch. It groaned loudly, revealing a staircase that disappeared into darkness. Captain Hayes gave a nod from the patrol boat. "Go." Brendan pulled out his flashlight and descended, John close behind. The air grew stale as they reached the bottom. Inside was barren. No crew, no supplies, just empty metal walls and a dusty control panel covered in outdated buttons and wires that looked like something from a Cold War-era sub. John wiped dust off the central console. "Who was piloting this? There's nobody here." Brendan keyed his walkie. "No one inside, just an old console." Clank. The hatch above slammed shut. Their radios fizzled. Dead signal. Above deck, the Coast Guard crew shouted, scrambling to re-establish contact. Below, Brendan and John were trapped. The vessel began to hum, then vibrate, subtly at first, then violently. Brendan looked up the sealed hatch. "We're moving." Water began to swirl past the tiny porthole windows. John's eyes widened. "It's diving! It's a submarine!" Panic set in. They pounded on the hatch, screamed. Nothing worked. After a minute that felt like forever, the vessel stabilized. They weren't sinking, just submerged. Somehow the boat maintained perfect pressure. No leaks, no rising water. They took deep breaths. Brendan steadied himself. "We're not dead. Yet." They began searching for answers. The console was dead, just a relic. But then John spotted something across the room. A door. It was built into the side of the submarine. Thick metal, industrial, sealed tight with a rotating handle. They tried it together. It wouldn't budge. Defeated, they slumped to the floor. And then the sub vibrated again. But this time, they were rising. Light poured through the portholes. They scrambled to the top window and saw open sea. Then, sounds. Above them. Footsteps, metal clanging. "Someone's coming," Brendan whispered. "Hide." They ducked behind the dead console just as the top hatch creaked open. 3 figures descended. They were silent, efficient, wearing dark clothing and work gloves. They moved straight toward the sealed door. Without hesitation, they opened it, effortlessly. Brendan and John stared in disbelief. Inside the compartment were stacks of heavy parcels. One by one, the strangers pulled them out, hauling them to the surface. The operation took nearly 30 minutes. Up and down they went, never noticing the 2 hidden Coast Guards. When it was finally over, silence returned. The strangers left the hatch open. Brendan looked at John. "Now's our chance." They climbed the ladder quietly, emerging into fresh air. But what they saw next froze them in place. They weren't near shore, no patrol boat in sight, only water, and above them, a massive oil platform floating on 4 enormous steel columns. "What the hell?" John breathed. They climbed a ladder that led from the sub to the platform above. When they reached the top, they ducked behind stacked shipping crates. The deck was buzzing with activity, cranes moving containers, forklifts transporting equipment. But there was no oil drilling happening here. This was no energy operation. This was something else entirely. From their hiding spot, they spotted the 3 men from earlier. They laid the heavy packages in front of a well-dressed older man, probably in his mid-60s, clearly in charge. The leader unwrapped one parcel. Inside, cash. Bundles of it. Then another package was brought forward. The man slid it open with a knife. A powdery substance clung to the blade. Brendan and John exchanged a grim look. They'd seen this before. Drugs. But not just any shipment. This was massive. "I've never seen this much," John whispered. "Even during busts." Brendan nodded. "This isn't street level. This is something way bigger." They kept watching. The leader gave orders. More packages were brought in. Machinery whirred. The crew moved like clockwork. John nearly stumbled over a loose cable. 2 workers glanced over. For a moment, they were sure they'd been spotted, but the men turned back to their work. Close call. Brendan scanned the area, desperate for a radio, a flare, anything, but they were stuck. No communications, no backup. Just 2 Coast Guards stranded on a covert floating drug hub in international waters. "We have to get out of here," Brendan whispered. "We need to expose this." But how? That would be a question for another day. Because right now, they were still very much in enemy territory. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. What exactly was that stealth sub doing out there? Who was behind this operation? And did Brendan and John make it out alive to tell the tale? We'll explore what happened next in part 2. Stay tuned.